Good evening everyone and welcome to another show of the Leme with myself, Carly. Unfortunately, our host Danny wasn't able to make it tonight, so we have Jordan who is on his way, and he's our education officer for NUGAS. We also have a collection of special guests tonight. Welcome to Peter Stefanidis, Tas Gardalis and Alice Papadopoulos. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
So, Tas, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, it's TVAkrites. My name is Tas. I hosted this show for 3 years. I think you're looking to be a year after that. So some people might be very aware of me. And former NUGAS president, and lovely to be back here. Great to see you guys and be back here.
Great to see you too. Peter?
Yeah, so his name is Peter, probably a little older than most of you in this room. Heavily involved within the Greek community for the last 20 odd years. Never involved in UGAS when I was your age, though. It's one of my biggest regrets. Thanks for inviting me and having me on, and hopefully we can have some pretty robust and decent discussion on some of the topics you've asked me to talk about. So yeah.
Yes, and
Hello everybody. I'm currently a new member of the NUGAS committee. I'm studying a Bachelor of Health Sciences at Swinburne University, and I'm also the new Secretary of Swinburne Hellenic Society. So yeah, that's always exciting.
it's pretty good to have you on board, Alice, especially me being your president.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
So, now with NUGAS, what's your role in NUGAS and what do you do to contribute to the committee?
So I'm a new general committee member, just recently joined by Leme.
Welcome back. And Kelly, it's been an exciting start to the show, hasn't it?
Yes, it has been.
I'm Jordan, as we all know, also the co-host of tonight's show. So we're bringing to our next segment, we're looking at past events and significant contributions to the Greek community from our partner groups. So first off, on Sunday we had the White Tower Thessaloniki Melbourne Sister City Festival celebration. Was anyone in attendance there? Peter, yourself?
We swung by.
Yeah?
Yes.
It was a fantastic event hosted by the Thessaloniki Association and Pancretian Associations. Running for a number of years now, they bring a number of cultural groups together, performance and dance, and also very interesting at the end of the show, day there was a performance by one of the Open Jam Cathedral rock bands, which is a new initiative that started up recently. It was a fantastic live performance actually. Kelly, any thoughts?
No, but yes, I can say. But it's something good to go to. I didn't get the chance to go to as I had a late night. Must admit. But yes, it's a good event to go to. I went to it last year. It's pretty good. Good to be a part of it. See all the Greeks there as well.
The event the night prior, I imagine, was the Munga Lugs Rush AXP, was it not? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Good to see everybody there from the NUGAS committee as well as the other affiliated clubs being there to support Munga, Rush and Lugs. It was really good, finished a bit earlier, but it was pretty full there. But yeah, pretty full. Capacity was full to the end of the night, so that's good.
It's a fantastic thing that our affiliated clubs can celebrate with each other at the end of the year in an environment where they can all get together and listen to Greek music, isn't it, Kelly?
It is, it's very good.
Your thoughts on the night, Alice?
Well, I certainly had a lot of fun. It was my first uni after party, or after exams, but a couple of drinks. It was lots of fun.
Talking about this, Peter, does it bring back any of your heyday? Times you had?
Heydays, okay. Of course. But back in my day, we had the baraki scene was in full swing. So there was something like eight baraki around Melbourne at that particular time. So many of the NUGAS and functions that were actually happening at the actual bars every single weekend, guys. It was fantastic. It was a great time to be a Greek in Melbourne, let me tell you.
To me, that sounds fun. Oh, I kind of feel like we're missing out a little bit.
You are a lot. But you know, I think that what you guys do in order to make sure that you keep the Greek culture going is very important. I think that many times we tend to not appreciate how important it is that Greek social clubs exist, especially at universities, where if you can get together, socialise, and just appreciate exactly how lucky we all are being Greek.
That's the essence of it, bringing the community together, like the Stefanidis Festival, like our AXP, and like even the Venizelos book launch that the Freedom Brotherhood hosted a number of weeks ago. The essence of it is to maintain and preserve this Greek culture and Greek identity in Australia. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. That's important. It'd be great to understand why it is important. Though I think that what usually happens is we get told that it is important, and we're told we're very good kids for adhering to it and trying to do what we can to keep it going. But if you dig a little deeper and ask many of us why it is we do what we do, people start umming and ahhing because we have to. Because if I do, I'm a good Greek. I think that we're probably missing something there. I think we need to actually do a better job at educating many of our young ones as to the reasons why we do it and what the benefits are to them for actually doing it.
Well, this is a nice segue to ask the question of why do you do what you do? When you study engineering at RMIT to now, over the years, teaching TVAkrites, the president of the Indian Federation of Australia. There's so many other activities you're doing in your spare time as well, filmmaking.
Yeah.
How do you make it all work, and why do you do what you do?
It's actually a good question, because when I was your age, I wasn't involved in NUGAS at all, and I was purely focused on engineering. I went to the odd baraki, but I never really always knew that I was a Greek, but I never identified myself within the social fabric of things until I joined a Pontian Club committee at the age of 22 or 23, and since then I've been heavily involved ever since. If I was to pinpoint exactly why, I would say that when I was a teenager, there was some a major upheaval in the social fabric of my family, and at that time you look for anchors. So for me, there were two things. One was school, and the second thing was my culture. So my culture gives me foundation. The culture gives me a base to understand exactly who I am. You guys are probably at the age now where you're solidifying your identity, like who you are, how you want to be perceived by everybody else in the world. If you're a Greek, what type of Greek? How Greek am I? What aspects of the culture do I want people to see in me when they actually speak to me and talk to me? And which tribe do I fit in? Which group do I fit in? And as a teenager, you go through those questions a fair bit. Being entrenched within the culture for me helped me get through, major hurdles in my life. So by the time I got to my early 20s, I said, I've got to give something back and try to educate many other young people that these are options they could actually have for themselves as well.
You spoke about this anchoring to your culture, to your heritage, and that was what the Greek community was.
Yes.
In many ways for you. Do you feel like that is how you try and influence your students? Yeah,
I think that in a way it's a good base, right? So it's a good place to start. I think that life, I think of life as being on a raft on rapids, right? And if you haven't got a good anchor or good foundation, it tends to topple you over and you can drown. And we see many people today suffering from mental illness, and one of the reasons for it is challenging identity crisis and a lack of foundation. And I think that the Greek culture is a great anchor. However, I think that it's not enough. So it's a great foundation, and it's really good to have a social fabric that we can actually be a part of. But I would like to see a Greek culture or Greek community that does more than just provide that foundation, and to actually provide a skill set that gives our kids a leading edge in whatever they want to pursue, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in business, employment, work life, even familial life. I think that the Greek community has a potential to be able to offer a lot more in those areas and harness our cultural strengths in order to be able to facilitate that. Because I almost feel like most people within the community think that there's a bit of a trade-off. I know that my parents sort of framed it to me as that είσαι Έλληνας. Πρέπει να το ακολουθήσεις αυτό, αλλά η δουλειά είναι η δουλειά. So work is work, and the community is a hobby, but they sort of almost diametrically opposed to each other. I don't think that that is the correct way of thinking. Yeah, I think I've seen other community groups do a much better job at, and we'll take the Armenians as an example, that they do a much better job of facilitating that.
I hate to cut you off, and I think we're leaving this in a very good place. Right?
Yeah, okay, of course.
But I believe we have to go to a break, don't we, Callie?
Yes, we do. So we'll go on a short break and we'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. Ακούτε 3XY Radio Ελλάς στα 1422 μεσαία στο πρόγραμμα του NUGAS στα Leme. Now we're back from a short ad break. Jordan, you can take over.
Thank you, Callie. Very gentle. Anyway, welcome back to everyone listening, and to Peter as well. We're just starting off, I think, an excellent discussion of what it meant to be a youth in the community, and even looking at other communities and how they've maintained their culture and, I guess, progressed in the Australian social and multicultural environment. So what were your thoughts on that? I mean, leading into the next year, we're looking at the Antipodes, or Lonsdale Street Greek Festival right now, which is a hallmark of the Greek community in terms of celebration, representing culture, dance, art, and food. What would you say is probably the most significant element of this festival?
I think that what we don't do very well as a community is understand the true value of the Antipodes Festival. Like it is a huge platform, and one that most communities within Australia, and I'm talking about even other Greek communities from outside of Melbourne, would kill to basically have. So it is it's the one time that we can showcase something unusual, something special, and to really highlight the strength of our cultural institutions. So one of the things that I've always associated with the Greek culture was just how well it spread during the ancient era, and how well it was adopted by many other cultures, and it's because it was so accessible, because it was so rich, and there's no reason why that can't be done today. So one of the things that we do specifically as a club at TVAkrites, we've just been the source of some controversy in the past, is to use it to bring other communities along with us. So there is a leadership program that actually goes on at TVAkrites. It's not in your face, and it's not very well like this is what it is and this is the 10-week structure and what have you. It's a lot of the stuff that I've picked up over the past. I end up teaching many of the students. It's not for everybody, admittedly. Some people come along, they try it out. In some parts of it they love, some parts they don't. But it starts off with a base that you don't know. Your teacher does not know everything, which is, and with many young Greeks, it could be a very scary thing. They would like to know that their teacher, αυτός τα ξέρει όλα, εγώ από τους καλύτερους έχω μάθει εγώ, and they expect that, but I don't go in like that. My philosophy is that I know some things. Your responsibility is to learn yourself and to surpass me, and I'll give you the tools in order for you to be able to teach yourself. The second thing is that we should use festivals like Antipodes to not only pull together that skill set, but use it to engage other communities. So back in 2016, we did a performance with the Aboriginal, with an Aboriginal group, where we I wouldn't use the word fused, because we didn't really fuse both Aboriginal and Pontian culture. What we did is we showcased both cultures at the same time. We did the same 2017 with the Georgian group and with some other Pontian associations from around Australia. And this year we did something with with
Maoris.
the Maoris. Yes, thank you for reminding me there, Carly. This does a number of things. One, if we are going to survive as a community here in Australia, we have to really embrace the strengths of our culture, which is it's multiculturalism. I've always said this, of all the cultures that existed, the Greeks were one of the first to actually spread their culture and embrace multiculturalism. They had no issue with that. And as great as it is to, and I think this is very important, you teach your kids the traditional stuff. They have to know this is very traditional and showcase that when you basically can. But Antipodes is different.
Το θέμα για πολλούς είναι να κρατήσουμε την παράδοση.
Βεβαίως, και αυτό μπορείς να το κάνεις. Και μπορείς να το κάνεις αυτό χωρίς να κάνεις κάτι διαφορετικό. Δεν αποφεύγεις από την παράδοση. Like, you're not distancing yourself by doing something different. It is when you end up compromising the traditions and when you showcase them that you're taking away from it. But I don't think that's the case. I think that when you do something like what we did, or what some other groups out there are basically doing, that sort of break the mold. I think that what you do is you're engaging more people. You're allowing young people to become very creative, to explore new depths without foregoing the traditions. And when you do that, it also becomes a great, and I don't think we do this enough, it becomes a great avenue, a great vehicle for establishing closer ties with other community groups. So, and I think that's one thing we don't do very well. I think είμαστε Έλληνες, είμαστε και πολλά άτομα και δεν χρειαζόμαστε να έχουμε και αρκετές σχέσεις, αλλά to be honest with you, like just yesterday there was in Canberra we had a commemoration for the 70th, the Pontian Federation had an event where we commemorated the 70th anniversary for the word genocide, and we did that in Canberra. And we invited a whole lot of community groups there, and they all came and supported us, including the Jewish community. And today I received an email congratulating the Pontian Federation for a very thoughtful, well-run event. And it's stuff like this that we need to do more of, and it's stuff like this we need to teach our young ones to do earlier on. So by the time they get to 30 or 40 years old, they've got a good 20 years experience in being able to engage with other people, how to engage other people, how to network well. And if you do that at your age, then you can't tell me that that's not going to have some benefits in your professional life as well. And that and those are not leadership qualities that you can actually use in your personal life or your community life, and that your community has given you not only that skill set, but a platform to be able to showcase it, a platform for you to be able to actually exercise it. This is the stuff that we should be doing at a great level, and Antipodes is a great platform to do that in.
There's a lot there. I wholeheartedly agree with you in the sense that these structures, these festivals, these community groups, and the way with which we connect with others is a reflection of how we see ourselves within our own community.
Yeah, very true. Absolutely.
What would your thoughts, and open also this to Tass?
Of course, we haven't heard from Tass.
Very pleased to his face, it's okay.
Yes?
I open this to Tass as well as a member of the organising committee for the Lonsdale Street Greek Festival. What would you both see as the future of the festival? Is it more of this collaboration with other cultures, or, as I said to you in the break, Peter, should we double down on our traditions, those archetypes or artifacts that we've carried from Greece, from Antipodes and Yayadis, the first generation?
Well, I really see it as bringing together a people and then really bringing everyone into that and really creating an inclusive environment where you can share and promote that Greek culture, but in a way that is kind of relevant to everyone. So it's really a matter of fact that always modifying the festival, always keeping up with the times, and always listening to people as well. Taking on their feedback, And that's the one thing I like about Antipodes, just walking around, seeing all the different stores, you get to see all the different associations, all these faces you see from all different places, and all coming together for this one humongous event. Side note, applications are open.
Yeah.
If you are looking to volunteer, please visit the website. That's the way I see it going, and I think it's doing that. I think people have seen a big change in the festival in the last few years, and I'm really hoping they build off that next year. And we've got a great headliner, Stefanidis, as well.
They do, don't they?
Which I'm very excited about myself. It should be great.
I loved Halloween this year actually, it was fantastic. Very Cretan weekend, wasn't it? I remember with all the dance groups and Halloween. Was it Saturday night or Sunday
Yeah, it
night?
was
Saturday night. Did you guys see him?
Yeah, I did see him. It was pretty good. It was more on the Cretan side of things, but it was a good show brought to him by the Antipodes volunteers and people who run it. Yeah.
If you haven't been part of it before, I really highly encourage you to either attend or get involved in a dance group. There's going to be 1 million competitions this year. Some great competitions, which I may or may not be having a part in running, so another shameless plug. But more great prizes and great opportunities for different people to get involved. So also coming up 23rd, 24th of February to put in your diary.
Well, welcome back to the show. We left off on a conversation about Antipodes and the involvement of other cultures and other groups. And actually, Tass, you raise a good point of involving yourself in the organisation of the festival, or even youth involving themselves more. And we spoke on the break about more becoming involved with the dance groups, or more becoming involved with the actual production of the festival. For yourself, Peter, how do you see that youth can get involved more in the community, be it in a dance group, in a leadership level like a community organisation or otherwise?
I think one of the first things you've got to do is get over the fear that you're going to join a club or a committee and there'll be some politics involved. Yeah. I hear that many often. It's too much politics, not for me. Too much politics, not for me. And newsflash, politics exists at home, exists with your girlfriend, your boyfriend. It exists well into marriage. Let me tell you, it exists. I think the earlier you get involved and the more practice you get at sitting down and working with other people, the more often you're going to make mistakes, and you are. Okay, you're going to make huge mistakes, and hopefully you're able to meet some interesting people. Some who've been there before can actually help you navigate through some of those hurdles, and then you find yourself very quickly. You'll develop a skill set which would benefit you a fair bit. So, a club of some sort would be very good. Go and do the dancing. Go in if it's not dancing and it's music. If it's not music, it's something else. Something that is fun to do, but then do what you can in order to get involved at a community-based level, as in on a board of some sort. Okay, and go through the motions, have your arguments, have your fights and so forth. And God knows that happens nearly everywhere. I think hopefully you mature fast enough, and notice I didn't say you'll get older, because getting older does not necessarily mean you mature. So you mature fast enough to know that A, you don't have all the answers, B, that you're not going to win every fight. All right, and I've lost more than I've won. And let me tell you, I've lost more than I've won. You're still around, but that is all part of being tenacious and having a very thick skin and developing that thick skin, because you get beaten around, you get hurt, you walk away. I'm not going to get involved anymore, but then you come back, and you have to, because it's the right thing to do, and you develop a fair bit of self-confidence when you do that. So get involved, whether it be at the Antipodes. I think the Antipodes Festival is a great platform to get involved in, and for the listeners who are listening today, I would heavily encourage you to jump on the website and get involved at that level. You get to meet many different dancing groups, many different leaders within the community. Find something that you like and get involved. If you have other ideas, I don't think we do a very good job at supporting our artists at all within the Greek community. We don't have that at all. We have maybe the Greek. We have the Greek Film Festival, which I'm a huge fan of. But apart from just the festival, I don't know of many Greek film groups that help other Greek filmmakers make Australian Greek content. And we've got to get into a mindset of creating new content specifically for Greek Australians.
I think it's interesting you mentioned that. One thing I recognise the Greek community does very well, and so do other groups like the Greek Australian Cultural League, is celebrate some artists and also try and host events that can draw attention. The Greek Australian Cultural League has been hosting a number of exhibitions. Mm-hmm. Exhibitions, and I think you'd find this interesting as well, that are not solely Greek-centred amongst Greek artists, but they've involved other cultures, Japanese, Australian, American, and such. One of their committee members, Stella Pappas, tends to lead a lot of these initiatives, and she's done a very good job of promoting and raising awareness. And similarly so with North, they held an event a couple of weeks ago, which was an open conversation about a book written by a Greek author. Did you happen to see anything on social media?
I'm afraid not. No.
Really?
I did not see it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Do you know anything about that?
Saw bits and pieces on social media. Couldn't attend, unfortunately, but that sounded like a great event. More open dialogue.
Yeah.
Was it recorded?
It was recorded.
Yeah. Is it on YouTube so someone can, like me, a Neanderthal who missed out and not on social media as much as some other people, can actually look at it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Fantastic. Send through the link. I'll make sure I share it with the rest of my group. It's extremely important. Artistic events. In the end, a culture is alive when it produces new content. A culture, if you are just rinse and repeating elements of a culture that were created 100 years ago and that's all you're doing, then it's like learning Latin today, right? It's not living or breathing anymore. It's great, it's impressive, good on you. I would love to have learned how to speak and understand Latin, but the fact of the matter is that it's a dead language. More content, and more support means that the culture is living and breathing. And this culture developed here will be different to what's in Greece and will be different to what's developed in the US as well as Germany. And I've met the Greek communities from these different parts of the world, and they are the same and different in many ways.
It's interesting. So in that sense, we're developing our own cultural voice in Australia.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's more significant. Sorry to cut you off, but that's the more significant.
Absolutely. Of course it is. And we think differently. Like my time as president of the Pontian Federation meant that I sat down and dealt with Pontians from Germany, from America, from Greece, from Russia, the Ukraine, and you can't help it. You're always a product of the place that you grew up and were born in, so you've got many of that culture's ideas, and I think differently to many of those other Greeks, but in many ways we think the same as well. So what's important is to make sure that you understand that is a strength, not a weakness. It's the thing that when I first got involved, I was always self-conscious, and my Greek wasn't that good, so I went to Greece, and they're the arbiters of what is Greek and what isn't, and they're the ones who are going to decide whether I'm a good enough Greek or not. And then you realise, maturity, of course, teaches you that you idiot. You don't think like that. You are, of course, Greek. You might not speak Greek as well as they do, but you have got other strengths you can bring in, and your job is to bring those strengths in and strengthen the Greek community worldwide. And understand that Australian values, Australian way of thinking, Australian education, coupled with Greek traditional values, means you've got an edge that many other Greeks around the world don't basically have, and the same the Americans or the Germans or even the Russians.
Fantastic, but that's the thing. The important part of what you said though is that we practice that.
Yes, of course.
You have that edge, but if you let it go to the side, it's very easy just to lose.
Easy to lose, and you've got to make sure that you're not going to get those opportunities. By getting involved, you can understand a lot more about yourself and the rest of the world. Like all the opportunities I've had to meet some very interesting people in my life, I can attribute more so to being involved in the Greek community than my corporate life.
Really?
Absolutely. Opportunities, experiences. Being involved has been within the Greek community has been the greatest decision that I've ever made in my life. The greatest. And there are many people who predominantly focus on their careers, and good luck to them, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, but I feel for them because I feel like they've really missed out on a lot of opportunity to grow, to discover, to understand what what it really means to be alive, and getting involved in the Greek community will open those doors, and I'm very lucky that I did that, and all the pain that I went through, because it wasn't an easy road, and it still isn't, but all the pain that I went through was very well worth it.
So what message would you have, recognising all of that, the history, the pain, the suffering, but also the successes, the achievements
Absolutely,
you have on the road? What message would you have to our listeners, the youth, in their adventures that might have in the community?
Get involved, fall over, get back up, fall over again, get back up, and understand that every time you do that, you become a little more Greek without even knowing. My Greek, even today, it's not too good, but compared to when I first got involved, it was atrocious. Learning how to deal with the Greek community is another. It's a huge steep learning curve, right? But logarithmic. So sort of it's very, very steep at the beginning. It sort of tapers off as you go up. But I remember when the first year on Panagiotis Milas committee, and I had to ask the president for some shoes for the dancing group, and it was Theo, μπορούμε να έχουμε κάποια παπούτσια για το χορευτικό συγκρότημα, σε παρακαλώ. And he turned around and let me down very easily. He said, Παναγιώτη μου, παιδί μου, δεν γίνεται, ο σύλλογος δεν έχει λεφτά, μην ανησυχείς, σε λίγο να το καταφέρουμε. After 3 or 4 years, κύριε πρόεδρε, αν είναι δυνατόν να μην αγοράζουμε παπούτσια για το χορευτικό συγκρότημα, δεν έχουμε παρατραβήξει το θέμα. Σε παρακαλώ, να μην τροπιαστούμε και άλλο. And that approach was enough to, and you learn that, and I think that's important too.
I think unfortunately we have to finish with that, but one particular idea that you've raised in this conversation is that those traditional aspects of what people may think of themselves as being Greek, that many will panegyrize or put on a pedestal, speaking the language or dancing about the music, or being very well read in literature, or even being born in Greece, aren't the most significant things if you've made an attempt in this journey to involve yourself with community and come with some passion, virtues or values that you believe others should also engage with.
Yeah, so they're great virtues. They're not the only virtues, and not the only ones that should count. There's other stuff that are just as important, and the stuff that you guys do, as Tass does within the Antipodes committee, are just as important, if not more important. Otherwise, the other stuff wouldn't basically exist in Australia at all. So never forget that.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming to us tonight.
My pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure. Tikal?
Thanks for coming, Peter.
No problem, Carly.
I noticed, but I'm glad you came. And same goes with you, Tass.
Pleasure.
So we're going to talk about some upcoming events that are coming up this weekend. The Greek community of Melbourne Dance Group is holding a traditional Glendy on Saturday the 1st of December at the Creedon Brotherhood, which is 148 Nicholson Street, East Brunswick. It will start at 7:30 till late. Tickets are $45, including food, otherwise, and also drinks are at bar price. Another thing is children's are $25. And if you need to contact anybody, please contact Nick on 0407 844 486. Another event that we have on for the Ponting community is the Panagiotis Tavern Night. It's at Panagiotis Hall at 18 Spring Street, Thomastown. Tickets are at...
Don't look at me, I don't know.
I think it's $50 from memory. Tickets will be $50, but for reservations, please call Con at 0419 001 096 or Johnny at 0488 288 508. And also for NUGAS, there will be a lecture on the Parthenon marbles at
The Ethicum Association, Elizabeth Street. at the Youth Again Association on Elizabeth Street in the city. It'll be free and open to all to attend with a special speaker, Emmanuel Comino AM, very, very well researched and extensively involved in the fight for restitution of the miners.
When's that again?
That is on the 12th of December.
So 3 weeks.
Less than 3 weeks,
Okay.
I'd say.
So now we've come to the end of our show. From all of us here at 3XY, ready, set, let's go. Leme.
That was dead.
Oh my god, that was really nerve-wracking. I don't know why.
Αλήθεια τώρα μ' αγαπάς ή πάλι ψέμα μου πουλάς. Αλήθεια τώρα σε διαφέρω, τι να πιστέψω πια δεν ξέρω.